We should be live. What's up? Check it out, folks. It's your boy DGL7. Today, have a very special guest. We're actually involved in a couple really cool projects. I'm sure it's gonna come up at some point, but I'll let my guest introduce herself. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is 12, and I am from New York. You got New York in the house. How are you doing, guys?
Doing good, yeah. So, all right. First thing is, I do have the name Seven as well, right? But how did your name 12 come around? I'm sure some people might be wondering.
So the full name is 12 Vels. When I first started on YouTube, um, I had, you know, different situations with the name of my channel. So, of course, like a lot of people, they start with their government name because it's just like automatic. And that made me a target for my views. So I started to start changing my name so I could be more hidden on social media because I had a situation where a person that was upset with my views actually came to my door. It was so outrageous. And so it was like I found out that you're easily able to get doxxed. That's a term that we use on YouTube, like on social
Yeah.
media, if you're like using your government name. So I started to use different titles to my channel. And then people started complaining about you're making it harder for people to find you if you keep changing the name of your channel, like you change your algorithm. So of course, for normal people, we're talking all this social media stuff, but
Okay, that's
I'm a
cool.
content creator. Yeah, I'm a content creator. I've been a content creator for 9 years. So I talk a lot of social media stuff. So work with me, public, work with me, audience. But I finally got myself down to 12 vels to represent like changes, like I'm like the change in my views, the multifaceted kind of personality I have. So that's how we got to 12 vels.
Cool. All right. Appreciate that. Now, one of the things that really helps me to really understand an activist is really understanding how they first got into activism. So, what's the really kind of, was there a moment or was there an event? What kind of turned you into an activist?
Oprah. So
Cool.
Oprah had told us to do like new things. And she said, I want you to get involved in the community and so forth. So I went to my first community meeting. And when I went to my first community meeting, they had a map of my neighborhood and they did not have public housing in it. And it was really weird, like, so we're at a meeting and they're talking about my neighborhood and they have the whole area of NYCHA out of the picture. And I was like, um, excuse me, where, how do you have this map with an avenue with just one side on it? What about the other side? And they were like, it's still the neighborhood. And I was like, no, you have the block with only one side of the block. Why is that? I just thought that was so crazy. And that's how I got into it.
Okay, that's cool. All right, good to know. Now the thing is that there's different like isms out there: capitalism, socialism. Some people prescribe to that type of, you know, um, political dynamic or definitions and stuff. Are there any type of could be anything, right? Are there any type of philosophies or political philosophy that influence your own approach to issues?
I am so what influences my style of activism is nothing about us without us. So I always want the people that are directly affected to be at the table. So that's how I go about things. I want people to have a voice that is going to be directly impacted by whatever's going on. So my motto goes that way.
I like that a lot. To tell you the
Nothing
truth,
about us
yeah,
without us.
I personally share the
Yeah.
same vision. You know, a lot of people, I feel like they get too wrapped up in that's just me though, right? I'm not mad at other people do, but it's a big part of this political world, these labels and stuff. But you know, yeah, absolutely, right? The people that are getting
Yeah,
service
like
need
I'm
a voice.
totally into the inclusion component. So inclusion is big for me because I don't feel you're really including people if they're not reflected on the board, at the table, in the process of the conversation. So inclusion is big. Yes.
Absolutely, that's how I feel. 100%. That's pretty cool. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the So the thing is that some people, when they get into activism, they may study other activists. They may be influenced by other activists. Are there activists that have influenced your own activism or approach?
Yes. So I'm very much into um, Al Sharpton. I like the
Cool.
way that Al Sharpton um, goes about moving the agenda in this city. And I had met him several times in person in New York because he's just like a staple in my in the neighborhood. We always see him, and we always talk about him. He's somebody that we know. I had been encouraged to join the youth movement by Congressman Adelphus Towns. I did
Okay.
not listen because I didn't want to be. I was already an adult when I started in community organizing, so I felt it was an insult to try to put me with teenagers. Like everybody, like when I started, everybody wanted me to be a part of the youth movement, and I just never felt connected to youth because I was bullied in school.
Right.
So it was not something I was attracted to. But Adelphus Towns did continue to like encourage me to come to town hall meetings. And I think that due to him, I got more of an open door to other politicians. And and I just started meeting other other people through town halls and so forth.
That's cool. Yeah, I do see you making regular updates from the National Action Network headquarters, which is pretty cool. You know, I can see you're involved in that. That's a good thing. Yeah. I'm also a fan of. I know he's a little bit controversial, but I'm also a fan of Al Sharpton. You know what I mean? So he was a powerful speaker, and he has a lot of good speeches. Yeah, especially back from the war era.
Okay.
People are bringing this anti-war stuff back. During the Iraq War, I remember he made a lot of powerful speeches. Why isn't he invited to this Saturday's event? I don't, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird, but okay. Big shout out to Al
Yeah,
Sharpton. Yeah, big shout out. Go ahead.
I had worked with a veteran. His name was Ed Carter, and Ed Carter was a member of my community board, which at the time was in Brooklyn. I was in community board too, and he always was advocating for vets and vets rights and so forth. And it was he was really awesome, and he was older person. He was older, but he was very active, and he kept vets on the agenda. Kept them on the agenda.
All right. Yeah, but much love out to the veterans. I know there's actually quite a few veterans who are also involved with activism, and I appreciate their ongoing fight for the people of this nation. Y'all are cool, and I
Yes.
appreciate you. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, salute to the vets. I'm an army brat, so
Oh, really?
my dad was in the army. Me and my brother was born in Oxford, Germany, because that's where they were based.
Okay.
And so we're always thinking about the vets. And we have the flag because my grandfather died. He had the chaps and so forth, so we have the flag in the house. Because when they folded it, they gave it to my mother.
Okay. So one reason why this channel exists is actually a repository of information for activists. You're actually part of my online activist interview series, which I really appreciate you partaking in. And the thing is that
Thank you.
one thing that may happen is people who are activists may ask themselves, like, how can I be effective? What can I do to help get my issues solved? And if you guys are watching this and you enjoy the questions that I'm asking, notice that I ask the exact same questions to pretty much every single activist on this channel during the online interview access series, so you can see multiple answers to this question. There's different perspectives, different frameworks that might work for you, and you can pull from all so far 90 activists and pull from their experience, right? So, um, 12 veils. What's your if there was like something that was the most effective thing that activists could do? What do you think that might be?
That would be to get to know the pillars of the community that you're in. So every community already has activists. Like, you're not creating the wheel. So the first thing you do is meet all of the people that everyone already knows, regardless if they're corrupt now. Okay, so we know no one starts corrupt. Okay, that's what we have to remember. So somebody already has the attention of the community. They're usually old. Okay, we're gonna all grow old. So the first thing I suggest and what I do is I get to know the pillars of the community. Who's keeping up, who's voting, who already knows the politicians. That doesn't mean it's gonna be easy for you because they don't know you. And you didn't know them. You're getting to know them now. So it's okay. But definitely, I would say go through the chain of command.
And that makes a lot of sense to me. And knowing one definition of politics is knowing who to talk to get the job done. And that's actually a smart way to have a framework to understand what's going on, so you can address the problems. I really like that answer. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not it's who you know. Like, we it's who you know. People can get you in the door, and like it's not what you know, it's who you know. That's my motto, right? So I go by, and that doesn't necessarily work with everybody, right? Because
Right.
they don't want to have to kiss up. So yeah, you got, for me, okay, so the way I work, right? Everybody knows I'm gonna ask you to coffee or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, can we go for coffee? Or I get you some Starbucks, get you, get a brown nose or whatever. I'm gonna do a little bit of that. It's an investment, because my $5 or $10 today can be like 2,000 for me to do something. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do that. That's what I do, guys. Yeah.
That's cool. Good to know. Yeah. All right. So the thing is that there's some people who may be joining organizations, and then sometimes they may feel like their issues aren't being addressed, or they may feel like they're being sidelined. They may be questioning, right? Is this organization right for them? So, what are some of the best practice that you've seen from some of the organizations that you've participated with? You've probably participated with more than just. I know you have participated with more than just National Action Network, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I've been on so many boards. And what I would recommend to a person, if it doesn't feel right, go with your feeling, because you have to go with what anchors you. And if you really have gone to different organizations and it doesn't feel right, that just means that you have to start your own organization. That is okay. That means you don't have a fit, you're not comfortable. An example is, I used to be a board secretary of this organization that was ran by a bigger organization, really, right? So, because we get to use their room and so forth. But they were collecting all of our mailing, like, they get all of our sign-in sheets. They had access to the mailing list, and they wouldn't let us have access to the mailing list. Like, we couldn't do independent mailings,
This is
and
very
that didn't
common
work
in
for
the
me.
activist industry, straight up. And I'm glad that you're talking about this issue. That's a real issue. This information control.
Yes.
It's not even. Yeah.
And you only experience that if you don't do your own thing, right? So if you do your own thing, you have access to every sign in, every mailing. It's yours, right? So
Yeah.
um, if you don't feel comfortable with the organization, because we're not talking about, you can't go in any organization. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, if you're in an organization and you feel that it's corrupt, then you leave and go to another one or start your own. It's not easy work, but it will make you feel at peace, and it's about you feeling at peace. So that's how we go with activists. Most activists have to start their own. They have to be independent, because they know that they keep coming into this red tape. They keep coming into the bureaucracy, And you're going to have the bureaucracy too, but at least you will be able to gauge it, control it, and know what you want to do. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay, that sounds good. In your career of activism, what's kind of like, what are you most proud of accomplishing?
I'm most proud of accomplishing um, going to different locations with different bodies of people. I always wanted to go into something and be like worldwide, right? I wanted a worldwide imprint, impact, and so forth, right?
Right.
So when I started, of course, on my local neighborhood level, being in a neighborhood advisory board, and then I moved up to the community board, and I got to a point where I was on a citywide board, and I wanted to go international. So, um, one of the things that I was so proud of was moving. I liked the fact that I was able to move on different levels. That was very important to me. Of course, when we start going to national level, we have to go to different states, and that starts to get, you just to really be organized if you're the one that's heading and having to bring people to different states with you. So I would say that's when it started getting more frustrating for me because there was like an Atlanta trip and they wanted me to take several families to Atlanta. And I didn't really feel like I was getting the support that I needed because, it's a lot for one person and you're managing different people. But I would say that I was very accomplished in going to different levels from neighborhood all the way up to national. So, and I feel like I'm international with the YouTube, regardless if people really know me. I have people that are connected to me from all over the world. So I'm just really happy about the YouTube, and that's why I've been with it for 9 years.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I also enjoy YouTube myself. Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So let's one of the things that this channel does is also like trying to help people that are getting started in the activist world. Let's be real, our school system does not teach us any form of activism really whatsoever, right? Martin Luther King is reduced to "I have a dream," and they don't teach him anything else. Um, so as in terms of maybe like maybe people that are like maybe starting out right as activists, as you have some experience, maybe if you were talking to like yourself, like maybe when you first started as an activist, have you had any perspective changes, or what would you tell someone who's maybe just starting out with your experience, right, to maybe help them, understand what's going on or pay attention to?
Well, I would say I don't agree with the fact that the school doesn't teach us about organizing because, in my experiences, that's where I first started. It was in school. So in school, we had so I would say that if a person is really interested in activism, you would start with your student body. Most schools have student bodies, right? So
Yeah.
we run for stuff. So I that's what I did, and even in college, I was like a peer counselor. So if the person is interested, especially a youth, I would say get involved with the student body. That's where you start making decisions with a hierarchy because you don't have a budget and the school does. And that's where you learn about school budgets and stuff by your school. And even as an adult, if the parent has children in school, I would recommend they go to their PTA. That's a whole little government too. I feel like, yeah, like you get first experience in local little governments. You can go that way to school. If you're not in school and you're an adult all by yourself, you can start with your block association, or like what we said in NYCHA. I'm a NYCHA resident. You would start with your resident association or resident council, whatever they're calling it now, but we used to call it tenant association.
Are you on your
And you
resident
get to
council
see
now?
I am a member, just so you're a regular member that
Yeah. I know you
is a
do so many
part of it.
things. Yeah, it's hard to do everything, right? But yeah.
Yeah, and I'm a part of SICA. I'm a part of um, organizations regarding developmentally disabled. populations because they don't have a strong voice and they are a vulnerable population. So I've sat on several boards and gone to Albany regarding inclusion for developmentally disabled and seriously emotional disturbed populations, because I love the entire scope of mental health where judgment free zones and stuff. And I feel like those things should be just for everyone because everyone could use a lot of the things that mental health offers. And it's just weird how they don't offer it to everyone. But um, it is how it works, right? So funding is allotted based on such things. So, but if a person, a normal, like, so to say, I'm just sitting around and I've decided I want to do more. So you can get with your block association, you can get with your community board, you can get with your police precinct, right? Like there's a lot of little things that a person can get involved in, and then they can see, like, wow, like look at how much this area is served and I've never heard of it. I don't see a presence of it in my neighborhood. And then you can decide if you want to make that difference or if it's hidden for a reason and if you're going to be a part of the problem.
One group you just mentioned, I'm just personally wondering myself, right? You mentioned the PTA, Parent Teachers Association, right? What are they
Yeah.
actually able to accomplish? Do they have some? I mean, maybe they do some budgetary allocations, but what are they? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. What is? I know you're encouraging people to join that. Maybe just to let them
Yes.
know, like, if they felt like they could accomplish something, they'd probably be more motivated, right? So, what can they get done in
Yes,
PTA?
because you can with the PTA they go to Albany and so forth also to fight. So with the parents that have children with disabilities and IEPs, which is an individual
Educational
educational
program.
plan for program for children who have certain disabilities and need additional aids like paras and so forth. Through the PTA, they can organize the parents, and you can go to Albany to say that, okay, we need better inclusion. We don't agree with the way that things are being run, or they don't have enough occupational therapists and so forth. We want more funding here. And it helps because with the PTA, you also start going, you go to your district meetings because schools are broken up into districts. So they have a higher district meeting. When I was with a pilot program that the mayor Bloomberg had put together it was called a mobile response team. And in the mobile response team, um, I was the family advocate. And as a family advocate, I went to the parent coordinators and the PTAs. So schools have those. That's how I had to, that's the people I reached. Those my contact people to reach to get to the larger group of families, right? Because I don't really have access to the families. So I had to go through the parent coordinators and parent and PTA. So definitely those are spots where people, they want to advocate more, have to go to. And through them is how I was able to get the space to be able to bring in representatives from ACS and so for whatever the parents were interested in, I was able to, like have a community meeting for them, because it's they who have the access to the auditoriums, the lunchrooms, whatever we can have the meetings. They make it easier for you if you're on the outside. So definitely they have some kind of governmental structure in board of education in your schools through your parent coordinator and your PTA. So if you're just a regular parent with kids, definitely I would recommend that they get involved with that.
Yeah. Hey, that's really cool. Being in New York City, with together, I'm sure we're gonna end up like we're already working on some projects together. Super excited to be working with you. But you have your own YouTube channel, you have your own stuff, and I want people to check that out and subscribe to 12 Veils over here. Share your social
Thank
media so
you.
people could start to follow your own activism.
Yes, so on 12 Bells, that's on YouTube. On Instagram, it's 10 Bells. I have so many different names. I don't know why, guys, but it's just the way it is. And on YouTube, it's Nini Cuckoo. It is how it is. Because I want to be able to have layers. I'll give you a perfect example. When I had my government name on my Facebook. and I didn't like Christine Quinn, right?
Okay.
And I was complaining about her on my Facebook,
Well, luckily for
and
you,
one of
she
my
lost.
coworkers, and one of my coworkers had saw it. You know, I wasn't connected to my coworker. My coworker had checked out my Facebook page,
Right.
and she said that, we can't be political. She said we're funded by a grant by, um, uh,
The mayor's
it was
office.
Bloomberg at the time,
Yeah.
and he just wanted us to collect data. It was so frustrating. Like we wasn't really there to do any kind of changes. We just there to collect data. We're just supposed to be there to watch people, and I was not okay with that. But they didn't even want me to have a voice on social media. Like I'm not even. They was like, nope, you can't do that. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I couldn't believe that my coworkers were going through my YouTube and they were complaining. So of course, I you're gonna have to change your name. Like you gotta be hidden and away, but it's okay because you're gonna feel stifled if you don't. Right? You're gonna be screaming out loud because you don't have any kind of outlet. So trying to keep an income, trying to do whatever work you can do, but also have a voice. So that's how I would definitely any activist, I would say come up with your own little names and hide yourself as best. You're cloaked. You got to be cloaked because they just want to fire you and always keep you out of everything. They blacklist you just because you have independent views of them, and it's wrong. So yeah, I got different names. Yeah.
That's some solid advice. I've also felt this thing myself. Dang. Like maybe I should do that more. That's some great advice. Dang. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, look.
Yeah.
Your experience is really phenomenal and it's unique. I'm really so glad to meet you. I know you're running for county committee, right? Running for county committee?
No, because the county committee it doesn't. He said that they don't really have it for Working Families Party.
No, wait. Who said
He
that?
said I would have to.
Who said that?
Um, the guy who's like running it, he put it inside of it's open on Section 9. He said it's really for Republicans and Democrats.
Theo?
So he said he really.
Okay. I'll talk with
Yeah,
him about
Theo
that. See
said.
what's going on. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Theo
I'll give
said
him
it's better
advice.
for you to like turn. He said it's better for you to like just go into a Democratic Party, and then run that way because it's open and it's easier. He
Yeah,
said the
that is.
Working Family Party.
Oh, I get it. So you
Yeah,
want to be on county committee in the
yeah,
Working Families Party, but he's encouraging you to go through the Democratic Party to do the county committee, right?
yes. He said
Yeah.
that's what's open. He said the independent really doesn't have a voice in New York. So he said why bother to do that? He
I've
said
been yeah.
why would you do that?
I was a third party activist for 20 years, but I'm telling you that the Democrats have control in the city. They have control of judges, stuff like that. And if you want ballot fairness, ballot election fairness, you need to have control of the Democrat Party down here to really make some of those real critical changes to open the door for other changes to be made. So people want to just have a hard line in the sand, and that's their choice. I'm not saying that it's necessarily wrong, but there's a lot of strategic benefit to work. You have to, if the hands aren't on the wheels, right? Yeah, can they really change the direction, right? So you know what I mean?
But that's what I'm saying, DJ Elf. I'm
Yeah, so I'm with
saying
it. I'm
that
with it. Yeah,
that's so
go
that's
ahead.
so unfair because
It
one
is.
minute they say we got to break off into be independent. They won't even let us vote in primaries. How does that make sense? Like I feel that the third party needs to fight more for inclusion then, right? So we need to be able to be there. Just like the Libertarian Party, they don't even want them to even speak. Like we have these parties, they don't even let them speak on the mainstream media. That doesn't make any sense. Then one minute we're saying we got independence, then we don't have independence. Then just tell them. And we always say Republicans and Democrats are really the same coin. They're the
Yeah.
same coin. So how does that make sense to not allow us, the third party, to do anything? That doesn't make sense. If we don't want to be on the same coin, then we got to be able to have some kind of movement with the third party.
Yeah, I'm still working to help out third-party independent candidates, 100%. They do represent a alternative, and actually help open up the conversation to new issues that sometimes as you said, the two sides of the same coin don't want to address. Yeah. So
Yes.
now that people have your information, right? 12 veils, 10 veils, right? Nini Cuckoo, yeah, all this stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
And now they're
yeah.
following you. What do they have to look forward to? You have any projects coming up? What do they have to look forward to?
Well, I really am encouraging people to just like connect on a natural level. Like, don't worry about, don't worry about the organization. So many of them are corrupt. So I just try to show people the facts in New York, because like sometimes New York, they advertise New York like we don't have any issues. Like there was no, like we didn't have crazy loss. Like so many businesses went out of business. Like we have it was like so many zones were like dead zones. Like I used to hang out in the Flatiron District. So many places are closed in the Flatiron District. So many places are closed by Madison Square Garden. And when they advertise New York, they act like, oh, we're just thriving, we're doing this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are all those places that lost? What about all the mom and pop places that didn't have internet, that had to be forced out? So many places are gone, like ghost town gone. Like New York does not feel the same. It's really eerie to me. And I'm always like telling people, like on my channel, like I like to walk through and show them. Just like when it comes to, like, one of the things that drive me crazy is how they keep trying to say that every neighborhood is experiencing people that are using drugs openly, right? So they have the open use policy. And I'm like, you could just walk to 96th Street and you don't see it. Like, I was like, it's not there, guys. Like, they're lying. Like, it's only, like, it's concentrated. Once you move past 106th Street, going toward 125th, where they have all of these agencies for open use, that's where you see it. But you're not, there are pockets of areas, once you walk past it, they're not having any issues. They're jogging. They're having a good time. Everybody's drinking coffee outside. It's just like, come on, guys. Like, they're lying. New York is always lying. We're just such a city that is always doing that. And I like to highlight that.
Yeah,
So
people
there's a
want to
lot of times
manipulate
there's
reality
like,
to serve their own narrative,
yeah,
and so they can, push their own agenda. So that's why it's cool to actually diversify your sources and to actually listen to people on the ground, such as yourself, versus, right, some celebrity or some pundit sitting in a chair being told what to say by his corporate bosses, right? So get your news
right,
from people
right,
firsthand that are on the scene, right? Yeah, absolutely.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm so excited to be working with you. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, me too.
are you? So you said that
And
you
it's
might.
refreshing and it's great. Like all the people you interview and stuff, they all are very refreshing, all actively doing stuff. And it helps me reimagine things, because when you go through so much disappointment. Like I remember first starting out, how I wanted to have a meeting and I went to the church to ask for a meeting space, because as a community organizer we want to work with the churches and everything. So I went to the pastor and I asked, could I have host a meeting in the church? And immediately they was like, oh well, why don't you ask your tenant association president? Like right away they was trying to redirect me. Like I found that as I was trying to be independent, they kept trying to redirect me to a person I was already saying I can't attach with. She wasn't being nice to me. Like she didn't even want to talk to me. Like I couldn't even have a meeting with my TA president. And everywhere I went to, I was like blocked. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Like I literally was like, keep getting redirected. They said, well, I think you should talk to your TA president. Your TA president has been here for years, and there's no reason for you to have a meeting independent of her.
You
And I
think
was
they?
like, wow, so they're not gonna let. I said, well, so we can have a meeting right in the park then. I was like, I'm gonna have a meeting in a park, like have a meeting in open space in a park,
It sounds
because
like they
this
have
is
some kind of
ridiculous.
relationship. Like maybe they've been working together on some stuff, or it sounds like he's trying to not touch her turf or something.
Yeah, he was not trying to touch their turf. And so many pastors, like I went to so many pastors and kept getting shut down. And then what I found out was that all I was doing was putting myself on the radar, and that was horrible. Like then now I'm starting to get all the attention on me, and I just, what I did? I wrote a piece of, I typed up some of the main talking points, and I went on the corner and I was passing the paper out to anybody, like people at the bus stops, people that's going to the grocery store. And she came, then all of a sudden she wanted to talk to me, and she came over to me I'm talking about when I was Brooklyn. When I first started, I started in 2001, and she came over to me and she said, "I heard that there was some young girl passing around flyers in this corner. Was that you?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." See, right already we got to start lying, right? Because I know if she doesn't have an actual witness account,
Yeah.
then if you don't have evidence, you can't. That's when we start getting into lawyer stuff, right? Because like if you don't really know, don't ask me, So she was like, "I heard it. Was you giving out papers?" I said, "I don't really know what you're talking about. So what did you hear?" Like that's like I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because she didn't even want to talk to me. So why is she talking to me now? And she said, "I heard that there was some young girl passing out flyers, and
So
I
she,
wanted to know, was it you?"
so she felt
And I
threatened or
said,
something. Yeah.
"Oh, she had rights to be threatened, feel threatened because she was keeping information from people about how they wanted to make changes to the neighborhood. Like, I was able to get people to start putting down the back NYCHA on the map. That was the first thing, and the way I had to do that was go through the organizations that was not in NYCHA at all. That's the first thing I would tell NYCHA residents. Go to meetings that are in your community, not NYCHA controlled meetings, because NYCHA controlled meetings don't tell you anything.
I agree.
Like
In
they'll
fact,
sit there talking about, mhm.
they're built to be confusing. They're built to be boring. They're built to be, nonsensical, and then people just end up, tuning out. It's really sad. And as someone in public housing, I've actually gone to, I'm glad to talk to you because I really want to. I've been trying to say this so many times. The thing is that, right, a lot of times the tenant association presidents get bought off, or they're just one person. They're like a link that's attacked frequently. But if we can really mobilize the whole people in the housing thing. But I've gone to different developments. Sometimes I'll give them out, and people will be like, I don't believe in activism, or there's just a large amount of apathy, right? So I also encourage people to like make signs on their door or to hang huge signs off the building. The thing is that being by the East Side Highway, West Side Highway, they have prime real estate to advertise their issues. Nobody's following up on these particular programs. What do you think?
Right, because
Yeah,
they don't want backlash, you know, because they'll start, people they have all these, NYCHA, they got people that have huge families, right? So their sons or whatever start harassing you and your kids, and they don't want that. Like that has happened to people, right? Because we got people that's really, really getting they're getting these crumbs and they're fine with the crumbs. Like what I try to tell people when I talk to people, I say to them, "Are you on payroll?" I said, "Because they could hire you." I said, "Getting a little stipend or something, it's not payroll." I said, "You can't retire on this." I said, "Stop the nonsense," because they don't really understand. Like they get a little knockoff benefit,
they
this
sell
big
out
to
for so
them. They
little
think it's
too. It's so sad.
so
They
little,
sell out
like
for
the
so little.
$75.
Yeah,
And it's because of who's giving it to them. Like the council person give them $75 check. They say, "This is how they do it." They say, "Do you want me to make it out to you? Or do you want me to make it?" And right away, you should know that they're corrupt, because why are they making it out to you? Why would they make it out to you? Like, stop. Like, come on. They already know that they can buy you off, and they buy you off for $20. Like, this is what's crazy. Like, you can be on payroll. Like, you could be their community liaison. Reach for that. That's what I tell me. I said, "Why don't you reach for that? Why don't
yeah,
you reach for an actual job?" Like these people get a little bit of nothing, and they're happy, and they will shut you down for that $20.
yeah.
Even
That's
they'll shut you down for some food. Like they'll give them Subway sandwiches. And they'll shut you down because they sponsored them, because they're not used to. They're not. This is another thing. Residents are not used to any kind of. Um, Too many residents are not. They don't understand how to solicit money, right? So they
yeah.
don't identify people that they can ask for anything. Like they don't know about fundraising. That's why they don't do it. Like we almost don't have people. That's what you get to experience in PTA, right? So they'll do they have the kids make cookies and cakes. They fundraise, right? So they get a sense of it if you're with PTAs and stuff, your block associations or whatever. But if you notice, a lot of people, they don't have a sense. What I would say from my experience with public housing residents, when they hear the word free, they don't realize for whatever reason that it's maybe free to you, but somebody sponsored it. It's
Yeah.
not free, honey.
Yeah.
Somebody sponsored it, and you should be interested in who
Why?
sponsored it, right?
And
So
why?
you got
Yeah.
an event, and it's like, hey, who sponsored this?
Yeah.
You want to know, but a lot of the they're just happy with a cookie and some. Oh my God, don't let them have coffee, and that's what I usually come in with. Like I don't mind spending, $30 or whatever. I go to the Dunkin' Donuts, get big thing of coffee and them cups. Oh my God, they love me. Oh, I just bring them coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, they think I'm somebody. That's all you gotta do. Look, I buy some. Let me tell you something. I go right there to the we said Pathmark. I get the croissants and some Oscar Mayer meat, and I'll get a 99 cents tray, and I'll fix that up with some grapes and stuff on the side, and bring it to the meeting with some orange juice and some coffee.
All right.
Oh,
So wait a minute.
they,
One of these
they
meetings
love it.
happening. Wait. I need to come to Taft House soon and do some do some mobilization over there, maybe, and help. You think about
Oh,
switching
well,
over to the
in
Democrats and
Taft,
getting some county committee?
well, in
Yeah.
Taft is locked down by Beverly, So Beverly is the TA president, and because
Okay.
she does good work, I don't have a problem with her. Like
That's fine.
I don't
Yeah.
mess with.
But
Yeah, I
county
don't
committee
mess
is
with
outside
Beverly.
of. You guys could work together, right? County committee can actually
Yeah,
support.
we work
Yeah.
together in a way. She
Yeah.
doesn't. She doesn't. We was in the Sika meeting. We was in. I know this is on public. This is the truth. We was in the Sika meeting. Sika with Dr. Falani.
Yeah. 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 I never got to meet her
Yeah,
personally, but
and
I've been to the. Does she go to the meetings? I don't think so, right?
she has been. She has
Okay.
been on because it's Zoom meetings. I used to go when it was physical meetings because I started with them when they was on the first one that they was on, and I've also been. They had sponsored me to go to NYU for one of Dr. Furlani's community organizing classes. We get sponsored, and so they send us to places. People don't really understand, but anyway, we understand. But anyway, so she was at the meeting on Sika on Zoom, and I introduced myself, and I said, yes, my TA president is Beverly McFarline. And then they said, oh, Beverly's on here. They said, Beverly, and they mentioned me and they asked if she know me. And she was like, no, I don't know. I don't know who that is. Because NYCHA residents love to play like they don't know nobody. And then
Okay.
after the meeting, she calls me up and she's like, oh, I didn't know it was you. And I said, all right, they playing games, but this is what they do. And I just learned, I think what will help people to really understand is it's a chess piece. Everybody's looking for pawns to move around. And if you don't want to be a pawn, you want to move up, want to be a bishop or whatever, learn the game. Just learn who's playing, how they play. Buy that coffee. Buy that, please. It's a small investment for you to be on payroll. Because, honey, I get on payroll. Yes, they're going to get rid of me because they said they're not going to let you go against the system for more than 2 years. But let me tell you something. At least you have a ride. You get on that payroll. Get your vacation, get your money, have your fun, take your family on vacation. Yes, do that. I'm not playing.
Interesting. Okay.
No.
It's good to learn all the
Yeah.
different techniques and see what's out there and what's going on. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you for
Take
sharing
them
that.
out.
So I still am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want one more thing. One more thing. I remember I had met this TA president. I always meet different TA presidents. I don't stay with one. And I went over to this other development, and I said, "Oh, I would love to take you to Wendy's." And she went, "Oh, go to her house, gonna bring her out to Wendy's." And she was too happy, honey. She was telling everybody how I took her to Wendy's. It was hilarious. They don't even ask for much. You just take them. If you take them even higher restaurants, oh my God, pay their cab fare. Oh, they love you. It's hilarious, and you get a pay. Let me tell you something, and you'll be on payroll. Okay, you would get 30,000 and up. Okay, to be on the board for what community board is 45,000. Might have gone up. To be a council, what is that? Council person, they're getting 50,000 and up, right? Don't they getting six figures?
Yeah. I think
They
they
getting
gave
six
them the
figures.
raise too or something recently. I think, right?
Come on now, you better know work your magic, guys. But you can fall into corruption. So that's why if you want to stay independent, you make your choice. But yes, you take one person out. That one person representing 1,000. All of them can sign you in, right? All you need is signatures, right? That's what Theo had talked about. Remember, Theo was talking about he was under a certain amount of signatures when he
Yeah.
ran for mayor. He couldn't even get on the ballot.
Right.
How do you get on the ballot? Yo, you got to do sometimes. You just know the pillar. The pillar can get everybody to sign it for you. They're gonna do it just because they said so. They don't even know you. They're just gonna sign it. They don't even see you. They just have the paper. They come into. They sign it. They sign it, and they get the little. They get the little free stuff that whatever they're giving them. It's amazing. Don't forget that, organizers.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to build your own lists and stuff like that, right? Yeah. Your own power. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yes.
like that. Yeah. All right. Cool. So thank you so much. I think that's pretty much the online activist interview for this one. Thanks for checking us out.
Thank you.
And I look forward to our once again subscribe to 12 Veils and watch this channel for further work that we're probably going to be doing together. See ya.
Thank you, DJL.